InfoHub Recap, we look back at the past week's main issues. In our headlines, the head of state emphasizes the need for residents to vote at LGE to empower themselves. Victims of the Cubana air disaster remembered. 130 residents of 12 hinterland communities received gun licenses, weapons and ammunition, and International Day of the Girl Child observed. These stories and much more in this week's InfoHub Recap. First, we begin with the news that residents of 12 villages in Region 7, Cuyuni Mazaruni, were on Friday issued their firearms and licenses by Minister of Public Security Kemraj Ramjatan and Minister of Indigenous Peoples Affairs Sidney Alicock.
Back in 2015, residents had turned in their unlicensed firearms during the Ministry of Public Security's amnesty program. The plan was to regularize the system to allow for weapons checks and the licensing of firearms holders. On October 5, residents of Keiko, Waramadong, Jawala, Philippi, Camarang, Warwater, Parima, Wax Creek, Chinawing, Mbaimalai, and Wailing gathered at the Camarang Sports Complex to collect their returned weapons. Among those was Celia James of Philippi.
Very happy to get my firearm to protect my families and my communities and my village.
Describing the distribution as historical, Minister Ramjatan noted that never before has any government made so many licenses available to indigenous communities. It was the first time, too, that as minister he signed off on 130 licenses at once.
I have never done this before. 130 approvals one time. It's an amazing thing. Yet another accomplishment to ensure our indigenous communities get what they deserve. And whatever else that must come your way because you so deserve it, definitely will come your way through this coalition government.
Minister Ramjatan will be working with the Police Commissioner, Leslie James, to have an ammunition safe house established in the Upper Mazaruni area.
The lobby has also started that we have to have, within areas like Camarang, safe houses that can keep the ammunition so that when you want more ammunition, 12 gauge rounds or 20 gauge rounds, that you could easily get it rather than having to go to Georgetown to buy it.
The newly licensed firearm holders were also supplied with 100 rounds of ammunition. They were encouraged to use the firearms for the sole purpose of taking care of their families and their farms. Paul McAdam for InfoHub.
Prime Minister Moses Nagamutu stated that Ghana will forever remember the shock and horror of the Cubana air tragedy and will continue to collectively share the grief and loss over the massacre of Guyanese, Cubans and Koreans.
The Prime Minister was at the wreath-laying ceremony for the victims on Saturday at the University of Guyana's Turkine campus. He noted that the vicious act of terrorism was a studied policy that punished small states, including Guyana, for pursuing an independent path of development.
Today, we remember our glorious martyrs with fresh anguish in our hearts. We must always remember them and why they became victims, so as not to surrender to bullyism over our sovereignty and unimpeded access to our national resources.
Cuban Ambassador Narciso Ronaldo Amador Socorro highlighted that in Cuba, October 6 has been adopted as the Day of Victims of State Terrorism. This is in remembrance of the more than 3,000 Cubans who lost their lives as a result of terrorist attacks.
The best tribute we must pay to our brothers and sisters who were victims of one of the most horrendous crimes in the history of the world is to continue working hard and doing our best every day for strengthening the relationship between our people who are based on mutual confidence, respect, friendship, solidarity, and cooperation.
On October 6, 1976, 42 years ago, Cuban DC-8 passenger aircraft flight number CU-455 left Guyana for Trinidad, then on to Sewell International Airport in Barbados. From Barbados, the plane was scheduled to fly to Jamaica and then to its final destination in Havana, Cuba. Minutes after taking off from Barbados, a bomb located in the aircraft's rear lavatories exploded. All 73 passengers and crew on board perished. Among them were 57 Cubans, 5 Koreans, and 11 Guyanese, of whom 6 were students going to Cuba to study medicine and engineering. The Guyanese students on board were students Seshnarayan Kumar, Ann Nelson, Eric Norton, Raul Thomas, and Jacqueline Williams, with relatives Margaret Bradshaw, Gordon M. Suba, Rita Thomas, Violet Thomas, Raymond Passad, and Sabrina Harry Paul, who was 9 years old. For InfoHub, Delicia Haynes.
97 persons, including 49 women, were conferred with national awards by President David Granger at this year's investiture ceremony last Saturday. Stacey Carmichael was there and filed this report.
President Granger emphasized the nation's obligation to pay homage to those distinguished men and women who, through precept and example, have provided outstanding service to their communities.
National awards should never again be disregarded, disparaged, or debased through capricious conferment. Today's investiture ceremony is a public manifestation of appreciation for those who have rendered exemplary service to the nation. National awards are conferred to express the esteem in which the recipients are held by a grateful nation.
The President described the National Honor System as a supreme symbol of statehood reserved for those persons who have distinguished themselves in service to the nation.
The National Honor System, on which national awards are conferred, is not a ceremonial or cosmetic ritual, as some seem to think. It is an essential cultural convention in civilized society, used to express appreciation to those who serve selflessly. The National Honor System is part of our culture.
We caught up with some of the awardees.
Well, it's a proud moment, obviously, to be bestowed with this award, the national award. The award, and it's an award that, wants any youngster who has a dream, he can follow that dream. I'm a person who obviously had a dream. I did pursue my dream, and here I am today as Commissioner of Police.
Yes, I felt very happy to have received this award. I felt like I'm kind of short on where I actually wanted to be, but I'm happy to be here, and I thank God for this.
I'm very happy about this occasion. I'm glad that Guyana has recognized my efforts, my contributions, and I'm really grateful and thankful for all those who nominated me.
I'm humble and grateful for accepting this award. It's a very cool gesture, and for the future, I hope that my other colleagues will be able to follow in my footsteps.
Well, I feel very honored. It's always good to be recognized by your country for whatever little you have done. I will not say I've done a whole lot. I think I've done enough though, and I feel great about it. I'm very thankful.
I would want to encourage everyone to work, 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 and one day someone is going to recognize you the way I did. So I'm humble and elated.
For InfoHub, Stacey Carmichael.
President David Granger on Monday said the Ghana Teachers Union and the government are now closer to a resolution. The president convened a meeting with the executive members of the union and Minister of Education, Nicolette Henry. More from Stacey Carmichael.
President Granger said that the two sides have found common ground and are working towards a favorable outcome. It is expected, he said, that a formal announcement will be made by Friday. The two sides have agreed to another meeting on Wednesday, October 10. The president said the intention is to create a basis for an agreement as early as possible. He noted the importance of the government working with the teachers' union to complete this process, since it is aware that the teachers have expectations.
We, of course, expect that the teachers' union will consult with the members, and the teachers' union expects that the government side will consult with the Ministry of Finance. So we have reached a broad area in which there is, I would say we have reached common ground. I don't want to call it agreement, but we've reached common ground, and I think the people of Guyana could look forward to an amicable resolution.
The head of state assured that the government is concerned and is working to address issues raised. The meeting was attended on the government side by Minister of Education Nicolette Henry, Chief Education Officer Marcel Hudson, Acting Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Education Adele Clark, and Human Resources Manager, Ministry of Education Jacqueline Simon. The GTU was represented by President Mark Light, General Secretary Coretta MacDonald, and other executives. For InfoHub, Stacey Carmichael.
As Guyana observes World Post Day, the New Amsterdam Post Office on Monday commissioned its new facilities. Anara Khan filed that report.
Minister of Public Telecommunications Catherine Hughes said internationally the transformation of postal service is taking place. Guyana, she said, was no different.
We are working with several of our partners. I'm glad Dr. Reverend Messiah mentioned the support we get from the private sector and civil society because we're trying hard to up our game. And eventually we will renovate and rehabilitate all the key post offices.
Minister Hughes noted the importance of postal services even as technology evolves.
Our broad intention is to convert as many post offices as possible across Guyana into modern, multifunctional facilities. Our intention is to use every available facility to take public services to citizens and to save you the costs and inconvenience quite often of having to travel to Georgetown to access them.
New Amsterdam Post Office Postmaster General Karen Brown said the renovations were long overdue.
The renovated post office will serve residents of New Amsterdam community with the provision of all of our traditional and financial services.
Construction started December 5, 2017 and was completed in September at a cost of $23 million. It is equipped with modern amenities such as proper seating, security features, and a space for an ICT hub. Postal workers were also rewarded for their outstanding services. World Post Day is being observed under the theme, The Post, Delivering Good to the World. For InfoHub, Anara Khan.
President Granger says local government elections are not about winning or losing, but about empowering citizens. The head of state was speaking on Monday evening at a community meeting in Guyana, Pomeroon, Supinam, Region 2. Here's our report.
Local government elections is not about victim and victor, winning and losing. It's about giving the people the opportunity to run their own affairs. Giving people the opportunity to sit around the table and decide what's best for the market, what's best for the streets, what's best for the lights, what's best for security, what's best for the roads. This is the importance of local government elections.
The president noted the need for competent persons to be elected to the municipality and the need to move away from voting on the basis of party politics. He called on Guyana and other Region 2 residents to vote for people who are going to make the region a powerhouse.
When we had local government elections in March 2016, yeah, we wanted to win. But most of all, we wanted to empower the people, give them that confidence to go into the municipalities, to go into the neighborhoods and make decisions for themselves.
After the community meeting, the head of state presented some 20 bicycles to school-aged children of Guyana and neighboring communities. The handing over of the bicycles is part of the Public Education Transport Service. Minister of Social Protection Amna Ali and Minister within the Ministry of Public Infrastructure Annette Ferguson also attended the community meeting. For InfoHub, Stacey Carmichael.
Prime Minister Moses Nagamutu departed Guyana for Pondicherry in South India to inaugurate the World Tamil Economic Conference. He is accompanied by his wife Sita. The Prime Minister, himself of Tamil ancestry, will join other world business leaders at the event, which takes place during October 12 to 15, and he will make a pitch for investments in Guyana. Keynote addresses will be delivered by Mauritius President Palai Valyapuri and special guests from South Africa and Sri Lanka. Later this month, a team of investors from Gem Granite Group of companies in Chennai is expected in Guyana. Gem's Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Viramani, visited last year and showed interest in investing in granite and forestry products. CGX Energy Inc. announced its intention to contribute to the capacity building of Berbice residents in the oil and gas sector. Here again is Anara.
Executive Chairman of CGX Energy Inc., Dr. Suresh Narayan, announced that 30 Guyanese from the Berbice area will be trained in geochemistry. The decision comes at a time when the company is moving ahead with Guyana's first deepwater harbor and onshore base at Crab Island, Berbice. Dr. Narayan said the company turned down professionally trained Texans and opted to train locals to do the job.
Guyana is blessed with all of these innovative people, and I'm willing to bet that once they have an entry into the business, they'll be making unique contributions to that business as well.
The company is facilitating trainers from the United States of America and Canada to conduct a geochemical survey training.
We only need about 10 people, but we're going to train 30. Because the next time somebody wants to do a geochemical survey here, we want Guyana to be able to say, we have people who are trained already. So we are going to incur about 3 times the cost, But ultimately, it's a good business decision because the next time we do one, it'll be a lower cost.
The training begins in 1 week. CGX Energy Inc. will be working closely with the Technical Institutes and University of Guyana's Tain campus to elect eligible candidates. For InfoHub, Anara Khan.
For the first time in its history, the University of Guyana is set to confer honorary doctorates on 4 Guyanese. Vice-Chancellor of the University of Guyana, Professor Ivelaw Griffith, noted on his social media Facebook account on Tuesday night that the 4 persons approved by the academic board of the university are indigenous activist Laura George, musical icon Eddie Grant, business magnate Yesu Prasad, and Guyanese-born United States-based philanthropist Jay Subraj. On Wednesday, President David Granger accepted letters of credence and commission from 3 new ambassadors and 2 new high commissioners. The president reaffirmed government's commitment to strengthening bilateral relations with the 5 nations. Stacey was at State House and filed this report.
President Granger accepted the letters of credence from Chile's ambassador to Guyana, His Excellency Patricio Arturo Becker Marshall, Ambassador of the Netherlands, His Excellency Jacob Richkert Fredericks. Letters of commission were accepted from High Commissioner of the United Republic of Tanzania, Dr. Emmanuel John Nchimbi, and High Commissioner of the Republic of Nigeria, Alhaji Hassan Jika Ardo. The ambassadors and High Commissioners shared their nation's commitment to improving bilateral relations in numerous areas, including oil and gas, energy, mining, and more. President Granger reaffirmed the government's commitment and cooperation in building mutually beneficial relations with the nations. A new ambassador of the Kingdom of Norway, His Excellency Niels Martin Goneng, was also accredited. Ambassador Goneng congratulated Guyana on the oil discoveries offshore, noting the petroleum sector's transformative nature. The ambassador also praised the Guyana-Norway Forest Agreement.
We sincerely wish you all the best in tackling the exciting but no doubt also challenging times to come. Our 2 nations share the highest ambitions to tackle climate change and its devastating effects to development. We are proud of our forest and climate change partnership that has seen good results.
President Granger said Guyana values the friendship established between the 2 nations since August 2, 1976 and looks forward to further collaboration.
Guyana aims at becoming a green state, one which will place increased emphasis on the protection of the environment, the preservation of biodiversity, the promotion of renewable energy, and the adoption of practical measures to ensure climate adaptation. Guyana looks forward to enhanced environmental cooperation with Norway based on the principle of sovereign equality of states as it progresses towards a low-emission pathway to development.
The head of state was joined by Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs Basil Williams, acting in the capacity of Foreign Affairs Minister, and Director General of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Audrey Waddell. For InfoHub, Stacey Carmichael.
The Finance Ministry has commenced preparations for the oil and gas sector. Paul McAdam sat down with Minister of Finance Winston Jordan and brings the details.
The Finance Minister Winston Jordan explained that if the ministry is to really make a difference in the new sector's advent, the way business is conducted really has to change dramatically.
I'm trying to examine who we have, where they can fit in, who requires what training, what kind of people we are going to bring in. And my theory is, for the most part, it has to be young people with some semblance of experience, even if they don't have, but they have potential. We'll bring them in, try to train them, and so forth.
He said there has been a heavy focus on building staffers' capacity since he took up his post.
Every opportunity I say send in somebody. But you know what's the backlash of that? We don't have too many patriotic people in Guyana. Don't have too many. You train them, they're now marketable, they're gone. They're gone. The next dollar that is paid, not all of them, by the way. I salute the ones who have things. The next dollar that is paid, they're off and gone.
Stating that he understood why some previous ministers were not interested in training staff, he described himself as an exception.
I continue to expose our staff. Once they have potential, I continue to expose them. Even some people are astonished that I'm signing their scholarship forms, because in the public service you have to wait 3 years minimum before you work, before you go off on a second degree. The problem with that in some universities is that 3 years your degree is old and they don't accept you. So some things have to change, right? 18 months your degree, for the first degree is far as you're concerned, old. 3 years, they got problems, you got to go back and do certain courses and all kind of stuff. You got to do a certificate rather than going on the full master's program and so on. So we have to look at all of that.
According to the finance minister, whilst the monetary compensation is not, quote, great, the addition of some fringe benefits offers an incentive to staffers along with a scope for certain levels of advancement, which, along with the aforementioned training opportunities, continue to aid in retaining quality staffers. Paul McAdam for InfoHub.
The first ever Green Expo and International Small Business Summit is a demonstration of Ghana's future green economy. Tiffany Rogers spoke with chairman of the planning committee and filed this report.
At least 120 businesses, non-governmental and government agencies will be displaying their green technologies at the first ever Green Guyana Expo. Some exhibitors are already preparing their displays at the National Stadium's tarmac, where the expo will be held. Among them are the Ministry of Communities. The Central Housing and Planning Authority will be displaying its low-income house, Engineer Randolph Hunt said.
The house is approximately 20 by 20. And we will be working in conjunction with the Sanitation Department of the Ministry of Communities, along with Caribbean Sun and Wind, along with H2O Guyana. These two persons will be providing some additional green technology to the building. The H2O Guyana, they will be providing a water system to basically using the solar power to provide water at adequate pressure to the building, and the Caribbean Wind and Sun will be powering the light fixtures and so using the same solar panel.
UC Rogers, Chief Engineer of Caribbean Wind and Sun, said the company welcomes the expo to explore green alternatives.
It comes at such an important time when relying on fossil energy it becomes so unstable, and especially it's from the international market. It becomes a kind of up and down roller coaster ride. So at this point in time, the renewable energy is very reliable, and to that, it could not have come sooner.
Rogers said Caribbean Wind and Sun will be powering the entire expo with wind and solar power. Chairperson of the Green Guyana Expo, Eric Phillips, noted the expo itself is a demonstration of green technology.
The main booth is where we will have, it's a different type of booth. It's a unique booth in that it's the only kind in the Caribbean. It only was brought in about 4 weeks ago by Impressions. It is 35 feet high by 85 feet wide by 200 feet deep. It's all cooled and air conditioned. It is wooden. It's not the the canvas-based frame that we use when we go to other expos. And there you will see the Green Hut, which is a concept that the Institute of Applied Science and Technology, IASC, has been developing.
The Green Guyana Expo is slated for October 18 to 20. On October 18 to 19, the expo will facilitate a business summit at the Princess Ramada Hotel. Persons interested in participating can contact the Green Guyana Expo Secretariat on telephone numbers 672-1930 or visit their Facebook page. For InfoHub, Tiffany Rogers.
On Thursday, Canadian High Commissioner to Guyana Lillian Chatterjee, in observance of International Day of the Girl Child, treated girls to tea at her residence. Tiffany was there and filed this report.
This year, the Canadian High Commissioner Lillian Chatterjee selected 3 young girls to play the role of President, Prime Minister and High Commissioner for a day.
We invited young women in Guyana to post a video to say why the International Day of the Girl was important to them and what they thought were the issues facing young women in Guyana. And we got a wonderful response. And then we selected three candidates for the 3 positions.
The High Commission received some 20 submissions, out of which Renuka Prasad was selected to act as President, Delicia George as Prime Minister, and Sarah Mohan as Canadian High Commissioner. Today, as Guyana and the rest of the world observes International Day of the Girl Child, High Commissioner Chatterjee hosted all the candidates and winner at her residence for tea.
I have to say, I am so proud of the young women in Guyana because they are articulate, they are passionate, they are very smart, knowledgeable, and full of confidence, actually. They have more confidence than I had at their age. And so I think the future of Guyana is bright if we keep seeing these kind of videos year after year.
The High Commissioner said the competition is important since it inspires young girls.
It's important because it is allowing young women to think, yes, maybe someday I could be president of Guyana. Now, you did have a woman president many years ago, but the young women now weren't born then. So it gives them a vision that this is possible.
International Day of the Girl Child is being observed under the theme, With Her, a Skilled Girl Force. For InfoHub, Tiffany Rogers.
As Guyana continues to strengthen its bilateral trade relations with Cuba, over 10 local companies through the Guyana Office for Investment, GoInvest, are preparing to participate in the largest annual multi-sector trade fair in Cuba from October 29 to November 2. Here's that report from Crystal.
Chief Executive Officer of GoInvest, Owen Verwe, told InfoHub that this year's delegation will see more new participants entering the Cuban market. He explained that the investment office intends to showcase products ranging from timber, poultry, agro-processed items, pharmaceuticals, agriculture, and tourism.
We're hoping to have a bit more of the forestry products. Cuba's got a big boom like Jamaica going on with the tourism sector, and the demand for forest-related products is very significant in construction. We're hoping to have some of that, but also we're hoping to have the poultry product as a breaking. Cuba has significant amount of tourism, and when you look at that number to be fed, we have the potential to supply in that market.
He encourages local businesses to sign on with GoInvest to connect with international investors. Guyana's ambassador to Cuba, Halle Majid, in a recent interview in Cuba, said there was a major breakthrough in the local rice market following the last Havana Expo.
So far, for 2017 and this year up to mid-2018, we have exported to Cuba over 85,000 metric tons of rice for the Cuban market. Our target is to see if we can export up to 125,000 tons this year.
He highlighted that the lumber market has also seen increased interest this year from Cuban buyers. Ambassador Majid noted that the Guyana's consulate is aiming to expand the local market through the exports of fruits and vegetables, paints, and chicken, among other products. This year's Expo will also see the annual traditional networking dinner hosted by the ambassador with local investors and selective businesses in Cuba and various chambers of commerce. Reporting for InfoHub, Crystal Stahl.
Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs Basil Williams met with staff of the State Assets Recovery Agency and discussed the civil recovery of state assets as well as the State Assets Recovery Act of 2017. Stacey joins us once again.
AG Williams made his first visit to the State Assets Recovery Agency, SAARA, today and held discussions with the staff. Discussions focused on challenges faced by the agency as it prepares to put forward several cases in the High Court. The Attorney General emphasized the importance of asset recovery, not only in Guyana but regionally.
The special civil recovery aspect of it, we really are in the forefront of having passed legislation in this region to create this institution that we have known as SAARA. And as I indicate to you, the powers that it has. So we're serious, but of course, we have discovered that you need specialized training in many areas. Cybercrime, for example, you'll have to do specialized training from investigators, prosecutors, and the judiciary.
AG Williams also restated government's commitment to the fight against corruption, noting that bribery and other crimes under the former government were allowed to fester.
Simple things. Really and truly, Mr. Simpleton, I will avoid saying that these things are amount to bribery. Somebody thanking a public servant by giving them a case, etc. So, from that lower level to the upper levels of corruption, we have been very, very strong in this fight against corruption.
The Attorney General also discussed SAARA's interaction with international agencies and cooperation with other local agencies. For InfoHub, Stacey Carmichael.
Residents of Oriel and Siparuta welcomed the service of a state-of-the-art water ambulance. Delicia has the details.
A water ambulance equipped with the engine and all accessories costing $22.4 million has been commissioned and handed over to the Oriel Siparuta Village Council on Thursday, October 11, 2018. The water ambulance's acquisition is a major achievement for the Region 6 Regional Health Authority. Commissioning the vessel, Minister of Public Health Walter Lawrence noted that it is just the beginning of a continuous series of upgrades to the community's health sector.
River ambulance is just about one of the services that we would like to provide to not only Siparuta and Oriel, but also to all our hinterland communities. We are presently reviewing all of our health facilities to see what upgrade we need to provide to these health facilities so that we can offer more services.
Other village councillors and residents welcomed the new ambulance. They noted it will be easier to transport emergency cases to get medical care.
This is history in the making. We have never had this kind of, in 23 years of the previous government, we have nothing significant to show that, well, okay, here a government. Now we have a government who is helping not only Oriel, but the entire country.
You people must have a watchful eye over this vessel. It must be treated with care at all times, because there is any one day, any one of us will have to use it. And we want a vessel that is always in good condition.
There are also plans by the government to upgrade Oriel's health center to effectively tend to emergency cases. For InfoHub, Delicia Haynes.
You have been watching InfoHub Recap, where we share the past week's top stories. Goodbye.